Hey guys, what's going on? We got the first Mythic Plus dungeon of Season 4. We got a +9 Nohkud Offensive. As per usual, it is in a 1.5 times speed. So yeah. But anyways, as this is the first week, I have noticed that it is quite difficult to pug into keys, especially as an Enhanced Shaman or a non-meta class. So uh, let me know how your experience went. From some of the viewers I've had, they've said they have not had very good luck, unfortunately. But start of the season, it is definitely tough. But it is what it is at the start, so hopefully it levels out. And the only advice I can give is to create your own keys and kind of hope for the best, really. Hope you can find some people and it doesn't take too long to wait on them either. So but yeah, it's gonna be a tough ride until things sort of level out. But yeah, um, just the first thing, if you didn't know, the Mythic Plus system got revamped entirely. So now we're going from 2 to 10 as the top reward system thing. So basically, that means at a 2, you only have the general affix of tyrannical or fortified, and then once you get to, I believe it's a 4 or 5, you get the second affix, which is in this one currently storming, and then once you reach level 10 is when you get the third affix, which is, I think this week is it's enrage. So but yeah, in my opinion, this is really, really good for Mythic Plus. Makes it a little bit more accessible to a lot of players. You don't have to. It doesn't feel as sweaty either. Now, uh, currently, it is very. In my opinion, it's a lot easier, right? So you only have to deal with one affix. Obviously, the power level of the mobs is still up there, but not having to deal with that extra affix like bursting or raging or volcanic or whatever it is, right? Makes it a lot easier to get to the level 9 key level. Now, at the start of the season right now, it's going to be very difficult because your gear level is very low. So if you're just starting out and maybe you're not as comfortable as keys as most people, then you might struggle a bit. And that's okay because you're starting out at roughly 485 probably is where most people start, maybe 492 if you've been lucky with some gear, getting your gear in +2s and stuff. Then you're going to have a much easier time getting to those higher keys. Currently, I believe in this one I am around 494, I want to say maybe 495, I'm not sure. um I wasn't really paying attention, but yeah, I do heroic raid and we got two mythic bosses down this week, which was pretty great. I believe we were also realm first for heroic Razagath, which was pretty hilarious. uh it didn't take us very long, which we were quite surprised because it's definitely not an easy fight to do. But yeah, so that was a complete blast. um I didn't get too much. I got one tier piece, but being Enhancement Shaman, you can't really break your tier until you get the 4 set entirely, which which really sucks. I know some classes they have, a new tier set where you can go 2 set if you get the pieces, but for those that didn't get a new tier set, you cannot do 2 set. You have to do 4 set only. So it doesn't matter if you get the gear pieces, you have to wait until all 4. So on Tuesday or reset day, I'm going to have a big spike because I do have 2 pieces I can catalyze, plus a tier piece and my token. So I'm going to get a huge power spike, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, so far, the hardest dungeons I've found this season is definitely Halls of Infusion. I would say Nohkud Offensive is up there. Uh, it's up there, but maybe not like the hardest. And then what was the other one? Algathar's is pretty straightforward. I think most of them, maybe Azure Vault might be a little bit more difficult. We did do a +8, or I think it was a +8 or 9, and the last boss has changed quite a bit, which is nice. But yeah, no good offensive. It's definitely on the harder end of the spectrum because the last boss, the second boss and last boss are definitely, in my opinion, quite difficult to deal with. They are a huge healing check. The second boss, you have to be precise with your cooldowns and defensives during the lightning storm, and you have to not panic during the lightning strike. So one thing I notice is people freak out when you take a lot of damage from the lightning streak. That is the big circles that you'll see in a bit, once we get to the boss, obviously. Basically, that's going to hit you, but it's not going to kill you. And he doesn't do anything afterwards, so you can just slowly bring people's HP up. You'll see the druid, he won't panic at all. He just calmly raises everybody's HP back to full slowly, not pressing any cooldowns or anything like that, right? You want to save your defensives and your utility for enhancement shamans. That would be, you want to use astral shift, and then you want to use your ancestral guidance for the next lightning storm. And the reason you want to do this is to help your healer, one, and you want to stay alive, right? So, and if you have to heal, heal yourself. It's definitely it's very important to do that. I noticed when I was trying to do some of the higher keys like Halls of Infusion, I have to make sure I am healing myself because I don't have the defensive of other classes, or and I'm putting too much stress on the healer, so I need to help him out. And when you come up to this part in Nohkud Offensive, make sure you're interrupting a lot. I know some people may not have played, I believe it was Season 1, so you might not know all the mechanics. There are a lot of interrupts. Not just with your kick spell, but using your knockups and stun. There are a lot of things. So you have to be very wary. They can wipe the group, like this Stormcaller guy, his Stormbolt, it needs to be interrupted constantly. But the more important thing is that guy's Tempest. That does an AoE dot to everybody, and as it channels, it continuously stacks. So you have to make sure you're on point with that. But yeah, from an enhancement standpoint right now, dungeons are quite difficult once you get up into the higher levels because your defense quality is down and your AoE isn't all that great, right? A lot of these pulls, you'll notice that this blood decay goes pretty big, especially in this third section of the dungeon. He is going to be pulling a lot. And it does take a hit on enhancement because you are 6 target cap, which really sucks. But you can still keep up for the most part, right? You're not going to be doing insane damage, but throughout the whole dungeon, you are going to do quite a lot of damage. Unlike Beastmasters that just do damage all the time. But yeah, this was definitely a solid run. I was surprised how easily it went. I made sure to bring a Blood DK or a Vengeance Demon Hunter. I know it's very like, oh, you're choosing the meta tanks type of thing. It sucks, but I kind of had to because we have a hunter, a warrior, and a shaman, so we don't really have that group utility to pull in for the final boss, or the constant interrupts or anything like that. So I need to make sure I had somebody able to do that, and a Death Knight and a Vengeance Demon Hunter does that extremely well. So it does suck. They were really good players that signed up, and I was like, man, I really need a DK, and it sucks to feel that way. It really does. Like, I don't like having to choose a tank based on that type of utility required, just so we can be able to clear this. It's not very nice. Like, Demon Hunters are, in my opinion, way too powerful. They have 2 silent sigils, 2 chain sigils. DKs have their grip and stuff. They're not as powerful as a Vengeance Demon Hunter, and in my opinion, they take a lot more skill to play. Blood DKs, you have to be very on point with your runic generation and spending, or else you will you're gonna die a lot. And that is from a experience of mine where I was doing high keys on a blood DK, and you just, if you don't time it perfectly, you get blasted. But yeah, overall, all the dungeons, a lot of fun. Brackenhide Hollow, nice and simple, a lot of fun. Lots of mobs there to do AoE with. Algathar's Academy, another one that's pretty fun, but also annoying as an enhancement shaman because you don't have that good quality AoE. Other than that, Azure Vault's pretty okay. It's definitely a pain. Your utility definitely comes in handy with all the stuns and interrupts that you have. But yeah, I don't know. This season has felt good so far. It's only week 1, obviously. Next week we get to choose our raid piece, and I will be choosing the Cult of Dominance trinket from Neltharion in Aberrus. That's the one I want. It's going to be the best for both worlds, right? Single target and AoE. Haste, when you pop Feral Spirits, you get a burst of agility. Pretty big on the damage meters. They say to get a Thorn Collar first, but honestly, I'm not feeling that. I want a Trinket. I really hate my puzzle box. I don't want this Trinket anymore. The fact that you have to cast it really sucks. And on top of that, if you forget that it's up and you use your cooldowns, you have to sit there and cast. And it's like, well, okay, I'll just wait for the next set of cooldowns, and then you keep going and forget, and then it's just terrible. I hate the puzzle box. I'm so glad it got nerfed and made it not so good, but yeah. Let me know. I really want to know your guys' experience with dungeons. Maybe not as an enhancement shaman. I've done a couple as Ellie shaman, or whatever class you're playing. Has it been fun? Have groups been tough? Like, I know a couple of times we get I know with the key levels so low, uh a lot of newer players are jumping in, right? And you're playing with the higher players. I don't really want to say, but like, the ones that push IO more. And I think the higher IO players are like really aggressive about it, which sucks because it shies people away from joining Mythic Plus. And that's not something that should be within the community. If you're doing like a 2, 3, 4, then that should be a indicator that, okay, new players are going to join and they are going to be learning the dungeons, possibly, right? Learning how to deal with the new mechanics. Because in an M0, which I haven't done this season, so I don't know how they are, all I've heard is that they are super, super easy. You don't have that tyrannical or fortified affix, right? So mobs and bosses are just falling over like no tomorrow. So you don't really get to learn the mechanics. You don't really take damage from them, so you don't know if you really did something wrong. So when you do a +2 or 3 or whatever, right? You get to learn the mechanics a bit better. Obviously, the fights aren't going to last absolutely forever, but you should be learning somewhat. And if you don't know, make sure you look up a video to understand them. And let me know. I can do some dungeon breakdown videos as well, to help the newer players learn the dungeons. I think I did it in the past, and I think some people may have liked it. I'm not sure. And then I just started doing this, talking randomly about random stuff that's happening in WoW, and some people really enjoy it. But as for changes that have happened in Season 4, there hasn't been anything. I think that what's to come is probably the third reset is when we might see a balance change. I'm hoping, because there is a big power gap between some classes. As you can see, Beastmaster Hunter is actually exploding. They are doing insane amounts of damage. Same with Demon Hunters. The tank meta also needs some serious balancing, because Vengeance Demon Hunters are at I think about an 80% play rate at the 10 and higher keys, which is absurdly unbalanced in my opinion. And another thing is, if you didn't know, some of the top tiers, they're doing like 15s, 16s, I think maybe 18s by now. Some of them aren't running a healer. That's absolutely hilarious to me. They're running Shadow Priest, Boomkin, a Og Evoker, and I think either a Warlock or a Mage. So to me, that's kind of crazy. That's absolute madness. So it goes to show you that with the correct comp, obviously, you don't need a healer to do these dungeons. But should that be a thing? I don't know, because it's insane that these really good players can pull this off, right? That is a huge feat of strength in my opinion, and they should be rewarded for that, right? You get to bring those 4 DPS and you get to do this. But at the same time, is it really okay to push healers away from that situation? I don't know. Because yes, it is hugely rewarding for them. They get to clear the dungeon a lot faster, but it takes a significant amount of skill to pull that off. you have to be perfect with your defensives and, you know, your team utility using those AoE or damage to healing spells, your Ancestral Guidance, Vampiric Embrace, Nature's Vigil, all that. You have to be on point with that. You also have to make sure your tank understands, you know, what to pull, what the team can handle, and stuff like that. So that is something that might possibly be in the balance changes. It's possibly going to see a Boomkin getting nerfed or a Shadow Priest getting nerfed. Now, I don't know about nerfing their damage, but they might nerf the utility, which would hurt the, I don't really want to say less skilled players, but, you know, that's just the way it's going to happen is it's going to hurt the more casual players that aren't pushing, and you're kind of removing that utility. So I don't know how they would actually balance that type of thing. It's very difficult because I'm sure they don't want to shut down these teams doing this type of or doing these type of groups, but at the same time, you have these players able to do these dungeons without a healer. And that is honestly a great question is, does that need balancing? Should that be a thing? In my opinion, I I think that's pretty cool. You know, I think it's great that they're getting rewarded. You're able to bring 4 DPS because you're able to pull this off. You get rewarded for having 4 DPS and no healer. That's the way it is. I believe it should be a thing. I think it's fine. Obviously it's insane. Um, but what are your guys' thoughts? To be honest, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's honestly amazing. Like unbelievable that they can pull this off. Obviously, I don't know if they could do it without an augmentation evoker. I believe that has a big part of it, you know, adding that extra versatility to beef them up, adding that extra damage, tank cooldowns and stuff like that, probably giving a bit of healing support as well, casting those living flames on his teammates and stuff. So, I don't know, but I think it's pretty insane. Would they be able to do this without an aug evoker? It's a great question, because you do have another class such as shamans. They do bring a ancestral guidance, which is an extra team heal, but they don't have the defense quality of the other DPS, right? But I also feel like boomkins are quite squishy. It might, like, they do have bear form, obviously, but I believe they only have one defensive, which is bark skin, which obviously is a minute cooldown, so you have it up for almost every form of defensive needed. That was a really weird thing to say, but yeah. Or you can just go bear form. I don't know. I know I've definitely seen clips of Nagura. If you don't know her, she is a top Mythic Plus Boomkin. Very, very amazing player. She does a lot on the Boomkin side of things, so I don't know what they would even change to fix that type of thing. I honestly don't know if they could even do it without the Aug Evoker. It gives so much defensive quality to the team, it's hard to say. Does that mean augmentation needs a nerf? I don't know. But currently, I think melees need some form of buff. I don't know though. I know I've seen a couple Ret Pallies up there, obviously, but being ranged, you do get that benefit of avoiding a lot of melee mechanics, such as frontals and stuff like that. I messed up here, and it's kind of funny. I was going one way, and then it hit, and I was like, oh, I'll go back through, and it didn't work out so well. And our healer keeps forgetting to dispel the tank, which on this boss is extremely important because the tank takes an extra 100% damage from his other tank buster effect. So he needs a dispel, but he's not getting it. So you'll see him fall over in a second. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Mythic Plus meta. It's kind of insane. A lot of people playing Augs and stuff like that, so it's quite impressive to see them doing that. I don't know what Blizzard would do, but I think it's pretty great. But anyways, that is it for this video. Let me know what you think of Season 4, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Laters!